Welcome to The Lost Signals discusses film and TV. Using the revolutionary Manzur-Amosi Thurlow scale,
or MOTS,
we scrupulously review these art forms with an emphasis on narrative structure. Join us for another entertaining episode.
Welcome to the 4th annual MOTScars, where we discuss all the Oscar films. But before I continue with that, I was supposed to be the host of MOTScars 2018, I suppose.
/19.
I think, yeah, they count. Whatever. It doesn't
matter because
I'm not the host. I made one joke about Bohemian Rhapsody being the worst thing that Bryan Singer has ever done. And
he's gone.
Let go from the hosting duties. It's terrible. So I don't care anymore. Gentlemen, you do you.
Hi, I'm Steve. I am Steevo and Scott. I'm going to be in this episode as well, and we're talking about the Oscars.
I'm Scott Thurlow, and I was never even fucking invited to host anyways.
I'm Chris Morgan, and I'm sure shit not hosting after what Ian said.
No one's hosting ever again.
I'm wondering if I should be on here after what you said. Ah, fuck it.
You got to clean out your closet, Chris.
Given that you're not hosting.
Listen. Anyway. All right, so you want to talk about the damn Oscars or what?
Sure. So yeah,
because the Oscars, when being that one in a million who gets to make millions for playing dress up, when that's not enough, you want a gold fucking plated statue, man. So
good on you.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
But no, well, let's just do what we do anyways in our tradition, which is to break down our MOT scale, what we gave it, all the Oscar noms, and then talk about that, and then later on what we think cynically the Oscars will actually do. So let me read out officially the nominations this year are Black Panther, Black Klansman, Green Book, Roma, The Favorite, Vice, Bohemian Rhapsody, and A Star is Born. So that's the 8 films that are in the Best Pick running, and our scale breaks down as such. There's a 2-way tie for a perfect 10, which is between Black Panther and Black Klansman. The next 2 top-rated ones were Roma and The Favorite at a 9.3 apiece. Then Star is Born slightly below that, 9.25. Then we got Green Book clocking in at 8.6. Vice got an even 8. And way down at the bottom is Bohemian Rhapsody with a 2.75, which we said, I think something like, even that's generous for it, or whatever we said about it on the review. So given that, that's how our scale broke it down. So that means that either Black Panther or Black Klansman should win, or at least that's what our scale says are the best films.
It's interesting.
What do you guys think about that?
Always going back on our scores for the year, usually at the end of years, like around Oscar time, I'll go back and look at what we did the previous year, and I'm always like, why did I give that such a high score? Or why did I give this such a low score? Like, it's always really interesting looking back and seeing what we gave films like hours after seeing them. You know,
yeah, because we have the immediate like endorphins running,
right?
Sure.
And
or gut reactions either way.
And then now we get to reflect on in retrospect over what has lasted with us, what has. And I think that's the inherent flaw of being a critic is you have to pump out like movie after movie.
Yeah,
sure. And only much later can you actually look into things.
Look back at it.
No, that's a fair point.
See what you actually think about, like what stuck. That's what you said was really important. Like what stuck with you, and then the other thing is you get to hear a lot of other. So, like, the initial score is usually just our specific, like, very narrow reaction to a movie, and then you start, like, looking into what else is happening around the movie.
Or comparing it to whatever we saw
like,
before or
you get to see the fuller culture of what's going on around that movie, and, you start to see it in different ways, or you hear a different take on something, and you're like, oh, I didn't consider that, when we saw it. Which is always interesting.
I've got a prime example, and this is something I was going to actually save for later, but I think now that you brought it up, it's a good time. Hereditary for me was a really great example of that because it's a summer's afternoon. I walked in the bedroom, which was a 2.5 hour Greek film. I mean, at least I knew I was getting that. Meets Rosemary's Baby. And I was really angry afterwards because I just was not prepared for that. I was so angry, and I really judged it unfairly. No, I hated the movie.
Have you seen it again since then?
I'm going to. It's on my watch list on Prime. Right. But the thing is, the more I reflected upon it, and I think I wrote a post that said, I'd rather see a movie that I hated that I can't let go of than see a movie that I love that I forget about.
Yeah, indifference is a bigger insult than active.
But I mean, there's a couple when I was going over the last year, there's like, oh, I forgot that movie was out there. No, so my whole point is Hereditary, had I had time to digest that more, and I know I've been apologizing it for at least 2 or 3 reviews since, but I really think it's. I really think.
Did you hear the music?
Yeah. They can hear the music coming on right
now. Well, the funny thing is, I was in ShopRite like right after we saw it with Scott. It was like broad daylight lunchtime, and someone went, to her child.
He's still going.
I'm in fucking line, and I like jumped out of my goddamn skin. So, but my whole point is, to your point.
So, wait, is Hereditary up for an Oscar this year?
It's not even close.
No, I really
Strangely
don't.
enough.
No, I really don't. But I'm just trying to bring to your point.
I get you making a parallel about reflecting upon.
Yeah. Because this is something that I'm apologizing.
Do you feel this way about any of the movies that are actually nominated for Best Picture?
Oh, wait till we get there.
Okay. All right.
Well. Actually,
actually.
Because no one's hosting, now we don't know what to do.
We are going to get there. Now, go ahead.
All right. Well, I was just going to say, do you guys think that either Black Panther or Black Klansman is in fact the best pick amongst the nominations, or should we go on to our personal picks?
I'm going to bring that up when we talk about the hierarchy.
So, funny story about this. 2 of us were not on Black Klansman.
That is true. I did see it, but
were we all on Black Panther?
No.
I believe Rich Perry was on Black Panther.
You were not on it?
I was on it. Scott was on it. Rich and Louie were on it. I believe.
I wasn't on that one? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was here, but I wasn't on the episode.
But either way, so sure, of course you're going to say like whoever was on it might slightly influence the score, but
I like both these movies a lot. I don't think either of them deserves a 10.
Interesting.
I won't lie to you, audience.
That's fair part.
I don't see them as the best movies of the year. I like Black Panther probably a little bit more than Black Klansman, to be honest. I
might tend to agree a bit.
Black Klansman had a couple problems for me. It was a great movie, don't get me wrong, but there were a couple problems that I had issue with, especially specifically dealing with how the police policed themselves in that movie. It was kind of annoying to me. Sure. But in my mind, the favorite is my favorite movie, and I guess I don't know. Maybe this is a good segue to talk about what our favorite movies of the year, or we'll talk about our first tier.
Sure. Yeah.
Unless we want to go
wait. Based upon what the Oscars have chosen, or what we personally would have chosen.
The Oscars chosen.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if we're talking about our normally we do 3 tiers. I don't know if we're going to continue with that exact tradition. We might break a little bit.
Roughly, yeah. Like
I've got my 3 tiers
top, middle, bottom of the field.
And mine break down 3, 2, 3. So I'll tell you what my top 3 are. My top 3 are The Favorite, Roma, and Black Panther is actually going to crack my top 3. Yeah.
I feel you. So I got number 1, Roma in my top tier, then Black Panther, and then Black Klansman. What do you got?
Okay, so this is weird because I'm not doing my favorite. I'm doing what I think are the better movies.
I sort of try to merge them this year.
So
but
Roma wasn't my favorite film of the year, but I think it's the most deserving to win, and because it's a great piece of art. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: is I actually think that to disagree with you, I think Black Panther, because of what it's done culturally, and I think it's the most culturally important film that came out not only in America but worldwide, and it's not going to win, but it deserves the accolades for like the Afrofuturism that's developed and all the powerful things it's done.
Well, to respond, Black Panther is my number 3 movie of the year on this list. I have other movies that are better than it that aren't on the Best Picture nominees, but yeah, I mean, I'm putting that in my top tier. Yeah. So I completely agree. It did a lot for cinema and like especially black cinema in terms of people being able to see themselves on screen and being really happy to see them. Like I remember seeing things when that was coming out of like, groups of kids like standing next to a big Black Panther cutout and like being like, yeah, like this is like we can finally be in a fucking like we can see ourselves as a superhero in a big, huge budget superhero movie. Like it did a lot for moving that trope forward. Now, do I think it's the best movie of the year? I don't. And I don't think it has a chance in hell to win. I wish it did. I mean, it might just because of kind of that exactly what you just said, like impact. What the cultural impact that it had. But I like to me, I don't see it as being that best movie of the year on its own merits.
Oddly enough, though, I could see it getting AFI eventually or something like that. Of just a movie of cultural significance.
It can replace Duck Soup.
Many things
could replace a lot of things.
Sure. But no, I see what you mean. And like, yeah, like if you recall, there was a brief little, I don't even want to say controversy, a brief tiff, if you will, when the Oscars, the Academy announced that they're going to have like a popular film category. And there was pushback on that, like almost specifically, certainly by implication for Black Panther. So then it was unfolded, like given the okay to go in the best noms. And yeah, right, like I don't think it's the best piece of film as art, if you will, but I certainly think it's very important for the reasons you just laid out. And I'm glad it is in the noms. I think it was, and I enjoy Marvel superhero movies like largely anyway, so it's my second favorite, my second pick. But I agree also probably almost has a very, very slim chance of winning. But still, it's cool and nice of them to do something decent for a change and put it on the list. So what are your tops?
I actually have 4, and I was on the podcast for 2 of them, and 2 of them I was not. And these films are ones that I would MOTS at 10, but also give perfect scores to. BlacKkKlansman is probably my choice to win. Very slimly next to it would be The Favorite and Black Panther, because I thought both of those were excellent movies. I was just watching Black Panther the other day, and the thing about Black Panther is, like when you talk about Marvel movies, my 3 favorite would be Winter Soldier, Homecoming, and Black Panther. And the thing about these films is they're human stories, they're family stories. It's the details that make these films work. And it's the details that make BlacKkKlansman work. It's the details that make Favorite work for me. And it's the details that make Roma work for me. I mean, Roma...
So Roma's your 4th?
Yeah, Roma, I mean, to be honest with you, all these films are awesome. I hate ranking films because they're so different, all of them.
Sure.
And I love slice of life movies. Like, as we all know, Jarmusch and Bergman are my 2 favorite directors. And this film,
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew Jarmusch. I didn't know.
You know now.
Okay, now you know.
Actually, I knew.
Okay, thank you, Ian.
You listen to Chris better than me.
Now I know.
I actually pay attention to the words he has to say.
Go on.
I do mostly. Half the time. That's why I know half of his directors.
All right. Well, but anyway, Roma, I was is a slice of life film, and the thing about slice of life films is I adore them, and I always have a hard time recommending them because it's mundanity. And I think I mentioned this on the one of the other podcasts, is to shoot minutia and to make it interesting. I loved Roma. I really loved Roma. And all these films, I was just telling you, and I saw Patterson the other day, which is a Jarmusch movie. Whether it's a small denouement or something that was an emotionally impactful thing, like we got in Roma, it's these films that it's like those things build up to it organically. I mean, these things.
Yeah, true.
Like the thing about Roma is, like BlacKkKlansman is based on a true story, and there are some things that were conceit given to it. Roma could fucking happen in the year of anybody's life. So each one of these films is so different, and I love them all. They would all get perfect scores from me as a MOT scale and as a viewer.
No, I feel you. Seriously, yeah, I get it. Like, it's not like quite a 1-to-1 ratio. Sometimes it's unfair to compare one film to another, but those are the 4 you're saying in your estimation that all deserve 10s essentially on both scales.
And that's why we do a hierarchy, so it's not just a 1, 2. Exactly. It's this grouping of what we think are the best.
Yep. Yeah. I feel
absolutely.
And pretty sure that the portrayal of David Duke is what won you over in Black Klansman, Chris.
There's a lot that
actually is a really good portrayal.
Actually, that really fucked up Topher Grace. He basically, in order to recover from it, he took a month off and turned 3 Hobbit movies into a 90-minute movie. Sure. 90-minute,
which is a hilarious story.
That's a good side bet to get yourself on the dark side.
I wish he could release that.
Sure,
but the thing is, he would say that like Spike Lee would come up to him and give him a hand on his shoulder and be like, "It's okay, you're going to be okay," because he had to prepare for this.
Man, it's a harsh rule.
And the thing is, I listened to the Donahue episode that he told him that fucked him up, and you listen to Duke, and he brings up logical points, but you know there's this nefarious agenda attached to it. But to listen to him, and I had to shut off because I'm like, I can't listen to this guy anymore. But the thing is, I can understand how it fucked with his head so much. I really can.
Yeah.
So with that, shall we go on to our second tier, or like middle of the roadish ones?
Yeah.
Or unless you guys want to add something.
Go ahead.
All right, good. Yeah, why don't you start?
All right. Well, this isn't the middle of the road per se. This is more of what the movies I don't think are
quite tens, we'll say.
A higher tier.
Yeah. Okay.
So I loved Green Book when I saw it, not being aware of all of the secondary issues involved with it. Yeah. But it was a very feel-good movie at the time, so I'm going to give it a thing. I did like it. I thought the performances were great.
That's true.
The Favorite is amazing, and that actually could probably be elevated to number 1. I just don't think that it's necessarily what will win in there. It's right on the cusp there. And I think that Olivia Colman, who I love from all of her work in Britain, deserves to win Best Actress. And I assume she is because she won Golden Globe, BAFTA, all of those. And then I also have Vice in the second tier, which I thought wasn't as good as The Big Short, but was still an entertaining film.
And I don't know.
It's never a bad thing to hate on Dick Cheney.
No matter what.
Dude, for the rest of my life, the first thing I'm going to think about with Vice is Clinton bombing Kosovo.
You've now should to be linked to him with that because of the review.
I am certainly going to put Vice in my middle tier as well. And Black Klansman's going to be in my middle tier in terms of that. Just because of, as I mentioned earlier, I had a couple issues with it.
Yeah, you had more umbrage with it seems, than some of us.
And this is going to be my smallest one. I have 3 movies that are going to be in my lower tier of these films. But yeah, it's going to be those 2. Vice does a decent job, but like you said, I much prefer The Big Short to Vice.
I think we all said that on the review, but it, like you said, both just said, it's still pretty damn decent.
Yeah, and I've kind of said Black Klansman, as has been said by many people at this point, is like nowhere near Spike Lee's strongest film, but it's the one he got nominated for as Best Director.
I thought it was his most mature film in a lot of ways, though. Maybe not the best, but
I don't know. Like Do the Right Thing, even so many years ago, was such a crazy stab in the dark that really, really, really worked.
Yes,
and just showed way more way beyond his years, and that's when he kind of blew up.
Here's the thing that I like, because Do the Right Thing had a lot of nuance in it, but I think Black Klansman had so much nuance in it, and so much of he's dealing with the KKK and making sympathetic KKK characters.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and not just the David Dukes, who are people who you're like, this guy would be a good guy if he had been in a different situation.
Not a piece of shit. Yeah.
But I was going to say, to your point, it's a much more objective interpretation of it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that it's a little bit more polished, even though I think
I like that word.
Do the Right Thing's a better movie. Just the way it's raw energy. This felt like a more complete movie, and that's my argument.
I think that's very well said, and I'm pretty much in the same camp. That's why I have it on my higher tier, but in the last spot of the higher tier, if you will, Black Klansman, that is.
Yeah. I'm going back. I'm bumping. I had that in the third tier, bumping that up to the second tier now.
Okay. Very nice.
Would you have in the third tier?
Black Klansman, because I didn't remember much of it until we started talking about it again. Yeah. And then it started coming back.
It did come out a little bit earlier in the season, August or something, so it was a little bit earlier than most of the Oscar season films.
It didn't stick with me as much as other movies.
I think it was the earliest other than Black Panther.
Yep, right? It was indeed. Yeah. Well, let me go on to my second tier. So I sort of have the reverse of you. At the number one spot in tier 2, I've got The Favorite. I did enjoy that film quite a bit. I like Yorgos' style. I'm not sure. Like, it's close between this and his previous film, The Lobster, but I still think they were both pretty great. And The Favorite was a very enjoyable film to watch. And I agree with Olivia Colman's portrayal in it. Then I have Vice just below that. You guys has pretty much said my thoughts on it. Like, yeah, it was an enjoyable, entertaining film. I do also agree I prefer The Big Short, but I like Adam McCabe, like, in general. And you're right, it's a fun and funny-ish way to sort of hate on, in a collective way, on Chaney. And then just under that, I got Star is Born, which I liked decently, certainly better than my tier 3 films, but just for the second tier, it's the last spot there for me.
I have one last thing to say about Vice.
Okay.
We live in a society that's obsessed with politeness nowadays, and a lot of the people who were hating on Vice were talking about it in the sense of how it was wrong to attack Dick Cheney.
Oh, it's so disrespectful.
Oh, give me a fucking break.
No, it was like because it was impolite. It was just making a mockery. I saw a lot of like hatred.
I saw some of the.
I didn't hear any of that, but like, I mean, no. I'm not saying that didn't exist. I wasn't. Really
that was the main
for
complaint against it, though, is that it's
whatever.
Not
fuck Dick Cheney.
Yeah, but like it's funny to me because it is very impolite. It's a giant middle finger to a monster,
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right, well, what do you got on your middle tier, Chris?
Okay,
tier 2?
My second tier is going to be A Star is Born, which Mott's, I gave it a 10. Realistically, it would probably fall in at a 7 or 8. I really loved it, but it is not one of these films that really sticks with me, and it would probably be something I wouldn't see again, but I really enjoyed watching it. Vice is also there.
Vice in like roughly the same spot. That's amazing.
Vice for Motzing would give me about an 8. I'd probably rate it about a 6 or a 7. What I liked about Vice is, I mean, it was low-hanging fruit. Let's face facts. In the era of Trump, we get nostalgic about the other worst thing, but we all wish it was the Bush administration again.
Milford Fillmore?
What'd you say?
Millard Fillmore?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, in a lot of ways, it was low-hanging fruit. Next. But the thing is about Vice is it knew what it was. It knew its bias.
It wasn't trying to be anything different.
No, it knew its bias.
Something else, that is.
But it also very clearly made sure that you knew that it was Cheney who manipulated shit that was already there. I mean, he may have constructed stuff, but there was loopholes in the rules and so forth. So in a lot of ways, it was kind of like a cautionary tale. It did know what it was, so it a movie.
It made no apologies, as you said, about being exactly what it was meant to be.
As a movie, it was okay. It was fine, but I appreciate the fact that it really did know what it was, and that goes a long way with me.
Yeah, fair enough. So those are the 2 ones on your list, all right?
All right. One of you two guys do because I started.
All right. Well, I'll just do my bottom 2. I think we might. I mean, I think we're all going to agree on the last one, but I've actually got Green Book at my number 1 spot in tier 3. Like, and you're right, Lee. You brought it up earlier that as we discovered more about it, like I enjoyed it okay, not great when we saw it, and clearly, like, you had a better impression of it coming out of the theater, as I recall, and as you said, and I was like, it's okay, and as I thought about it, I was like, it's less okay, it's like still So it's just there. Like I love Mahershala for sure. He's a great actor, but I blame like a lot of the script and the elements that it didn't actually show, or like that were maybe changed a bit more, exaggerated a bit more than actually events. So. Yeah. Maybe that's my feelings towards it, but
I think that finding out more did make me like it more on this front. That it's the point of view of a white guy becoming friends with a black guy, which is completely different than the black guy's opinion.
The opposite side of the story, of course.
Something that wasn't even considered a friendship.
Yeah.
So it's really it adds on a meta.
So for that, it takes on that angle.
Humor to it.
I get it. And so, I mean, again, it was just amongst the picks, it's just one of the weakest to me.
It did win the Golden Globes for comedy, so somehow.
I guess, but, I mean, not I guess, yes, it did, but I don't agree with that either. But regardless, and my last choice, of course, is Bohemian Rhapsody, and we can rag on an extra, like, the +1 here, but I think it's all of our bottom films, is it not? Like, spoiler, but...
Yeah. I'd like to go next.
Okay.
Greenbrook.
I'm still not the host, but you can do whatever you want.
Just call it Greenbrook again? I thought we got over this.
I said Green Book.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too.
It's planes, trains, and automobiles with racists. I started off not really liking this movie, and I've grown to hate this movie. No, and the reason is because they should have focused on Mahershala Ali's character of Don Shirley. And I've written a rant, and I'm trying to turn my rant into a blog, but I'm also trying to provide some historic... shut up. I was trying to provide some historic context because Shirley, at that time, being a classical musician, being a gay black man, there is a bubble of the music of composers, musicians, performers, and depending upon whether you're into classical or with jazz or blues. The fact that that Don Shirley, his character, didn't want to be that guy in a jazz club.
Shirley, right?
Don Shirley.
Is it Don Shirley?
Don Shirley, yeah.
Wow.
But what I'm saying is there
too many characters to remember.
I mean, so literally him living on top of Carnegie Hall, next to a high-end, the Russian tea room. He lived in this bubble of classical music, which was kind of at that time esoteric. He can make money and live in a certain anonymity because it was more for the upper class. So there is so much that was passing mentions, and that was so important to his story that would have gone so much farther. But they decided to frame the story around Vinnie Goombats. And
but guess what? He didn't write a memoir. The Italian guy did. So this is what
but what I'm saying is, that my problem is
wrote the screenplay.
Yeah, which is a lot of fiction. Which if you look at the end, they're talking about what great friends they were. There's not a picture of them together, as far as I remember. Like the last picture,
there might have been, but it's still
the last image where it says, "Hey, they died within a couple months of each other." There's two separate pictures of them. I mean,
that might be true.
Actually, I mean, the more I thought about this, the more I really grew to resent it because. Okay, so you're writing a memoir about, Tony Bag of Donuts here. I mean, who is this over... I mean, I was listening to your review. He is an over-the-top Italian stereotype. And as somebody who grew up, my mom's side of the family was first, second...
I think I might hear the music again. I'm not
sure.
First,
second, third generation Italians, okay? I can tell you that this thing was so over the top it was grating. I actually found it offensive. And, on that level... And I just really, there was so much stuff that they literally drove through that was so much more important that they could have explored with their time rather than talking about fucking fried chicken.
You're going to bring up fried chicken.
Yeah. Well, I'm it's one of my favorite foods. But be that as it may, there was so much missed potential in this. And I don't care if it was based on a memoir or not. They should have fact-checked the fucking thing. I can't believe Octavia Spencer was an executive producer on this.
She was? I didn't know.
Yeah, she was.
Yes, but Tony Lip was Carmine in Sopranos.
Look out of here.
I mean, it was
what did Don Shirley ever do?
Yeah, and his wife
was one of the greatest musicians of the time.
Linda Cardinelli, and Linda Cardinelli was the repressed liberal of the neighborhood of like Goombas they lived in.
So tell us what you thought about Bohemian Rhapsody, then, Chris.
Well, I was gonna say that's a good segue because everything you said that was offensive about Green Book, it seems, I think we could apply and then some. To
Bohemian Rhapsody, if I haven't made clear of it enough.
Why did you encourage it?
It's got a whole other section of fucking terribleness of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody is actively offensive to...
I thought we started it already.
It is actively offensive to Freddie Mercury. Like, shame on every surviving member of Queen. Anybody in the LGBTQIA community and anybody who has been affected by AIDS in any way, shape, or form is fucking offensive to. And let me tell you something. In 1991, I was in a music store. My band was getting ready to, we were going to record. And there are three dipshits in there. And around this time, Freddie Mercury had died. And Elton John and Pete Townsend had come out. Okay. They were lamenting about the fact that their three rock gods were now gay. And to distill the Freddie Mercury portion of it, if Freddie Mercury wasn't gay, he wouldn't have gotten AIDS, he wouldn't have died, and Queens would still be making music. If there is a theme for this,
well, that's what the movie
exactly.
As we said,
this movie is the perfect example of what the Reagan administration's views on AIDS and homosexuality were. Fucking Bohemian Rhapsody.
Thatcher too. And
Thatcher too. fucking Bohemian Rhapsody is the
Margaret Thatcher. Are you serious?
Margaret Thatcher make it on a cold day. But anyway,
Bohemian Rhapsody is actively offensive. It is like a fucking poison.
I agree.
There.
Like, in all seriousness, the offensiveness about Green Book is like not the same specific things of why it is, but the general idea of it is applied and, like I said, amplified.
Yeah.
In Bohemian Rhapsody.
In all seriousness, Chris, I appreciate your
passion.
Your rigor in discussing this. That felt like an actual Oscars speech.
Well, we are discussing the Oscars,
and so those are two of my bottom movies as well. Also,
what's the other one?
Stars Born sneaks into my bottom tier. A movie that I liked when I watched it and liked less and less every time I thought about it since then. So that's the type. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Is like I kept thinking about it and I was like, yeah, but like how much of Lady Gaga's character do you guys really remember? Isn't she supposed to be like the main character? I don't remember much about her. I remember Bradley Cooper.
I remember it well enough, actually. So like I guess to that point, like that's gonna be like a running theme. Like
I don't think she had really any agency throughout the whole thing. She was told by a man what to do the entire fucking movie.
It's the music industry.
I don't know, man. Like, see, again,
sure, great. Yeah, does that make it a good movie?
I get that angle, but like not that I'm neutral towards it, but I don't think I changed my opinion of it. I think it was still decently okay now versus when I first saw it.
All right,
I mean, I'm not saying it's a terrible movie, but like it's the top of those bottom three.
I got you.
I think.
Good idea.
So my third tier movie is Stars Born. It's okay. It's good. It's good.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's a movie.
It was a movie.
Like, it's sort of like how I feel again. Like it was definitely not as offensive as the two ones we just said, and it was enjoyable enough.
I think that Green Book makes. I'm surprised you don't like it, Chris.
What?
Because you're the most stereotypical, like
your Vinny Bag of Donuts,
middle-aged liberal person I know. And I think that it makes people who, like, I'm not racist, like, look, white people,
at me.
black.
I'm good.
It might as well be called My Black Friend, the movie.
But exactly,
but that's what's saying wrong with it.
But it makes some people feel good. Like,
it's the white people.
Look, we northern whites were great back in. Like, look at the South with their racism. Even our racist Italians learn to be.
Everybody's getting a lot more woke these days. Ian. Everybody's getting a lot more woke.
You're right. So then I should forget about the things that I heard at this picnic, like my uncle saying, "Well, if you
okay, all right. Whoa. Play him off. Music.
No, I wasn't actually going to say anything, but I'm going to say that I'm not going to give credit for the white people feel good movie of the year.
All right. Well, good, because you shouldn't. So I think we can agree on that.
And then I believe you were the only one with the
your
last
tier goes one deeper.
Final tier.
Does it not?
Oh, no, I don't want to mention the existence of this film.
That's the fourth tier. Don't want to mention the existence.
It is literally, we watched Gigli.
We did. True. That'll be coming out a little bit after this.
The week after this, yeah.
I would prefer to watch that again than watching. We decided to watch. Every year we have a tradition of watching a bad film to cleanse the palate. I forgot. We did watch a bad film that cleansed the palate. I can still taste the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Still picking
the ashes of that.
Yeah, I mean that's a really funny, but I think accurate description. Yeah, we also we wish. I think I said on the Bohemian Rhapsody review, I wish I had my 2 fucking hours back because it was that bad, and especially made more egregious for the fact just that it's in the fucking Oscar nominations. So
there are so many people that I've talked to that really love that movie, and I don't.
Well, you're wrong.
Fucking understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day it takes effort not to post about how much I fucking hate that movie.
Anyway. I did forget one thing though.
Yeah.
So I need to go back quite a bit to the first tier.
Okay, go top tier.
Rewind.
If Beale Street Could Talk is my number one movie of the year.
It would say, why the fuck am I not nominated for an Oscar?
That's the segue I was getting to, sort of de facto, I'm jumping on the host.
I stole your segue there.
No, but it makes sense, I think, because I think I definitely agree with that. It's basically snubs, right? Yeah. Films that we saw that we thought should definitely be in the, take 1 or 2 of these off and put this film instead in its place, and 100% I agree, if Beale Street Could Talk should be that film.
However many, we'll say this. How about this? If you can, however many films you have in your bottom tier, fill those up with movies that better deserve it.
Well, that's one right there.
So I'll go first since I threw down the gauntlet. I've got 3 in my bottom tier. Bohemian Rhapsody, Green Book, and A Star Is Born. They could be replaced by, in order, If Beale Street Could Talk, number 1. 8th Grade, which I thought was a fantastic film, really well done.
It's on the cusp.
Great directorial debut, and by a great comedic mind. I think Bo Burnham's gonna do a lot of great things, and a very much dark horse that never would have gotten in the Oscars because it's so violent and so weird. But You Were Never Really Here is a fantastic movie, and
I think you only saw that, right?
And would have been the only female director to get on this list or the best directors list if she had been nominated, which I believe Lynn, what's her name? Lynn Ramsey was the director. She also did a film called We Need to Talk About Kevin, which will fuck you up.
I thought you were going to mention that one too as well.
It's the one Tilda Swinton movie I probably won't see, but
you'll be for days afterwards. You'll be just shell shocked if you watch that movie.
All right, not bad. I think I can do the challenge because I only had 2 on my bottom list. So of course, as I said, Beale Street Could Talk should be the number one thing that the biggest snub this year by far. Then I would probably. So this might segue into another thing we do where we'll pick a film that we personally thought was one of the best or just entertaining and fun. So I actually might put Sorry to Bother You, which is going to fill both spots.
Okay. That's a great
in this
choice.
Spot because of how, again, sort of quirky and different it was, and just pure raw passion flowing through the cinema screen with that film. So I'd take off Green Book and Bohemian, of course, and put those 2 on.
Okay.
Glad you mentioned Sorry to Bother You.
Okay, out of my top, and again, my top films of the year are based on things I haven't been able to let go, things I would MOTS a 10, and things I'd give a 10. So it is a combination. Beale Street, fucking far. I'm going to start crying thinking about it. Fortunately, I have a therapy dog that I came home to and could cuddle with when I came, If Beale Street Could Talk is a goddamn perfect movie.
It's a masterpiece,
we said. Just gorgeous. It's beautiful.
That should go on the AFI.
Barry Jenkins is one of the most talented directors I've
working today. Yeah,
I agree.
Sure. Yeah, it is just an absolute. I was talking about Roma, how this is a real movie. Very grounded. I absolutely adored it. Steevo, 8th Grade, 100% agree with you. We were talking about slice of life films. It was a terrifying experience. Beth and I don't know how much whiskey we drank getting through this movie, but it was also one of these movies where you're also afraid to move. You don't want to be. You're regressing, and you want to hide.
But you're
in
trapped
that locker.
there watching it. You sure?
Yeah. And Scott, I agree with you. Sorry to Bother You is definitely. So I would replace Vice, Green Book, and Bohemian Rhapsody with those 3. And I'm also going to mention one thing that very few people saw, but I'd have to say check out. One of the films that has stuck with me, and I'm glad I saw it before I got to know the director, was I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday. I mean, as somebody, seriously,
fair enough.
As somebody who grew up in the 80s, it may be classified as a horror movie, but out of the 70-minute movie, the first hour of it is like a throwback to those 1980s World War III bunker films that used to give me nightmares growing up. I told Mike, I'm like, thanks for the fucking it's kind of like
to Mike.
It wasn't quite
Mike Lombardo.
It wasn't quite 8th grade on the trauma scale, but it was definitely these movies that used to give me nightmares. So Mike Lombardo, I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday. Look it out on the internet. There's no way it would even come close to ending up on the Academy Awards, but
not yet. But it is a cool horror film.
Very much indie film. But Mike Lombardo, we met him, we interviewed him.
Yep, good dude. Made a great film.
Great interview. Check him out. Support him if you can.
So I have one left now.
All right.
And The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah. I haven't seen that, of course.
I know that there's a love-hate relationship with Netflix and the Academy Awards.
Fuck
but
Steven Spielberg.
Coen Brothers, I think it's one of the better Coen Brothers movies and up there on...
I would agree. Good fucking call because we did, you guys mentioned, recommended to me, recently enough, and I was like, all right, I'll get to it. And I did, yeah, you're right. It was certainly up there in their overall of work, and I'm not sure if it should be in the Oscar noms, but certainly we could replace like as you said, replace that with it. But it was one of the better films this year.
I think Beale Street's the best film.
Right.
I think Buster Scrubs is
your most enjoyable one. Yeah, I got you. That's basically how, like I said, how Sorry to Bother You was for me. So
it was.
I feel you. Good
Ballad
pick.
of Buster Scruggs is a really enjoyable
Equisapiens,
flick to watch.
man. Equisapiens.
Sapiens, baby.
I want to make one caveat that I have not seen Ballad of Buster Scruggs, nor have I seen Cold War, nor have I seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse, great.
So those are why I haven't mentioned either one of those three.
That's fair.
That's my caveat.
Into the Spider-Verse, easily the best animated movie.
You think it'll win that?
In a year where Isle of Dogs was a fucking great animated movie. I'm so happy that, please, if Disney wins this year in that category, it's a travesty. There are two far better movies. Well, I guess Marvel is Disney to an extent, but Spider-Man should win, and Isle of Dogs is a fantastic movie as well.
Yeah,
check it out. Wes
enough.
Anderson.
Good call.
Is always a good director in my mind. I like pretty much everything he does. So.
Okay, so I believe we're all being played off right now.
Yeah, I think. There's one more thing. Actually, the cynical angle. Given all what you said, what do you think the Oscar Academy is actually going to give best
Yes,
film?
we have to pick what we think they're gonna choose.
Would like to go first with your cynical choice? Okay.
This is actually Chris's cynical choice because he convinced me of it earlier on Green Book.
Because it's a white people feel good movie.
Oh yeah,
and that's what the Oscars is.
They love feeling good.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No.
Well, I was gonna say I think Roma's gonna win. I would love to put my long shot choice as the favorite. I think that the favorite has a very outside chance of winning.
It has a chance.
It's not the favorite.
It's certainly not the favorite. Roma's the favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I want to see Roma win.
I think the favorite has an outside chance of winning. I don't think Green Book's going to take it just because people are a little gun shy about that movie, even if they really like it at this point. Like I think that they'll vote for Roma or the favorite over that. Yeah,
I would say at this point. So again, it's as it gets closer and closer. The odds are switching, like the actual odds, which I may or may not gamble on. But it's looking like Roma is getting a bigger push, like as leading up to next week or two when the awards are going to be held. So yeah, I actually would be fine with that. Like I wouldn't hate on the Academy if they gave it to Roma, although it does sort of make me question what you said about Green Book, that they might cynically give it to that. But I think my other choice might be if not Green Book, it would be Star is Born because of its pedigree to a degree.
I'd say. By the way, strangely enough, sorry, Chris, I'll let you go.
No, please.
I'm gonna let you finish, but strangely enough, I think that the Oscars has a fairly decent track record in recent history of picking pretty good movies as their winners.
True, I guess.
Spotlight.
But that's only because of the
I like Spotlight. I actually picked Spotlight.
All liked Spotlight pretty well.
I like Spotlight. I didn't think it was the best film that year, but I thought it was in the top 3 for sure. So,
you very cynically. Green Book, because it is the ivory white tower
of films.
Liberal of films. I thought Viggo Mortensen, I think he's a great actor, but his over the top, I thought it was absolutely grating and horrible. But I do think it is going to win Best Picture. Scott, what you said about Star is Born, pedigree was the perfect word.
It's sort of not quite the Spielberg movie of this year, but
I don't know if it has a pedigree though. It's Cooper's first it's his directorial debut.
But he's well known.
Lady Gaga's big movie acting debut. It doesn't really have a pedigree.
But cynically, you nailed it on the head. It's Rocket's directing debut. I can't remember his name.
I mean, it's got a lot of. It had a lot of buzz for sure as this upstart, but I don't think it's got a pedigree.
No, the movie itself.
That's what I meant. Yeah, by that I meant something
true.
like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So that's again my second or third cynical pick, but
but we all know what it's going to be.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh God!
I will
please no. I'll burn this town down.
Why burn this town
to the ground?
Hollywood down.
It's the champion.
I'll burn all the towns to the ground.
It is the opposite of a champion.
I think we're going to wrap up in a minute, but I do want to mention, go on our website. If you've seen most of these movies, go on our website.
We do have a poll going on.
We have a poll going on for what your favorite movies are. It goes by our MOTS questions, and you get to pick kind of your favorite movies of the year.
Or do a write-in if you want.
I'll post it as well before we do this, or as we're doing this episode. So I think that's it for me.
Call.
I just wanted to
good
put
PSA
that in there.
Yep.
God damn, you came up as the host, man. That's great.
Maybe
I'm gonna let Ian close it out.
That's
though.
a very
the original host.
thing to say.
Might even invite you back next year, man.
Hey, all right.
Well, at the end of MOTScars, yes, 2019, 2018, however they calculate this goddamn thing.
I think it's 2019.
I'm Jonathan Ian Manser.
Yep, I'm Steve Ramosi. I'm gonna be in my garage building a gold statue.
Weird. I'm Scott Thurlow, and I'm playing myself off. See you next time.
I'm Chris Morgan, and I sure as shit didn't host this shit.
Good night.
Editing and engineering by Christopher Morgan. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates. Or MOTS?